Okay, Addie Mae Weiss just opened the meeting with unanimous vote. So I'm sorry, please proceed.
That's okay, thanks. So we're just going through what the agenda, it was posted, the minutes from November 19th, 2024, and the minutes from December 17th, 2025, which was our hearing for the MBTA community.
It says that, Patty May, it says that, but we haven't gotten to December 17th, 2025 yet. That has to be 2024.
So yes, sorry, December, I'm reading this, Frank. Thanks, Frank. Yes, the agenda, a little typo. Heidi's jumping ahead a year. So the minutes were from November 19th and December 17th, both of 2024. We have no hearing scheduled for this evening. Current planning board business, the zoning bylaw review updates in preparation for our hearing next Tuesday, which is the January 28th, and the townwide mailing went out to all households for that. Any MBTA multifamily overlay district update, any ADU accessory dwelling unit update, and any additional warrant preparation and timeline review, and then any other business reports on meetings with other boards and entities. And my anticipation is that this will be a fairly short meeting tonight, because I think we did the bulk of the work at the last meeting. Thanks to Steph for forging ahead and getting us through that, and everyone's patience for going through that. So I think there was some debate, do we have tonight, but I think it's always good to just, since we kind of were thinking of it, to just touch base so that we're ready for next week. So starting with the minutes.
Do we need to approve the agenda?
Oh, yes, thanks, Steph. So unless there's any other items not anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance, I know of none. Is there anyone else that has anything? All right, hearing none, I'd like to move to accept the agenda as posted.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Seconded by Frank, was it?
Yes.
Okay. And all those in favor, Addie Mae Weiss is aye. Steph Harrison. Let's see, Jim Garino.
Aye.
Rob Wolf.
Aye.
And Frank Hoke.
Aye.
Okay. And so to start off, review of the minute from November 17th.
19th.
Sorry, 19th. Yes, thank you. It was a virtual meeting. We went through updates, and it was not a hearing. I had no additions or amendments, but did anyone else have any additions or amendments to the minutes from November 19th? Yes, Frank. No, it's good. You're a detail person, which is good. Thank you.
I seem to always be the one that has them. So first of all, they look different. They look good. I want to make a comment on that. I think it has a good level of detail. Wanted to state that. I do have just a general question,
Yes.
and I just want to see how the board feels about this. This is just a thought that I had. Some of the things the writing, the minutes say, discuss this, discuss if this can be a part of the housekeeping consent agenda or what would be for town meeting, but then doesn't give what our outcome was. So there was a couple of those that were like open-ended types of things. And I don't know, does the board want to keep them like that, or should we have said, the board discussed this and concluded or decided on or came to no decision, but at least state something as to what was the outcome of some, wording like that. And there were, like I said, there was a couple of those in here. I don't want to point them all out, but I just, in general, for whoever's taking the notes.
Right. I believe the minutes from November 19th and the minutes from December 17th were both done by Heidi.
Okay.
So she, I know, had a lot on her plate and was, I mean, not that that's, I guess as far as like if we're giving instruction, I don't believe we've been seeking to have Deb Takis do minutes for the planning board, but I don't think all the paperwork has gone through for that yet. So we're still in a little bit of a limbo, and Heidi undertook doing the minutes for November 19th and December 17th.
Okay.
So I
So
mean, I can see,
that's still an open question, if we want to discuss it or not, or if we want to address that or not. We could just leave it for this and just note it for the next time, or you can try to go back in our memory banks, which I don't think is really good. It should, if anything, would be something that would have to go back to the video for that. But in terms of corrections, there are a couple just minor ones. If you look at section 2 zoning bylaw amendments on page 2, I don't know, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's you see multifamily overlay, and right below that it says items could be taken of the list for this town meeting. It probably should be off the list or from the list, but not of the list.
sorry, I'm just trying to find it here. One, two,
I've got
oh,
it. I've got it marked.
all right. Oh, yeah, okay. Off the list, yes, okay. Thank you, Frank. Is there anything else?
I guess on this one, no, other than that comment about answering the questions.
I mean, I believe that it was a lot of discussion with really no, I'm just kind of looking at that meeting real quick, and I believe there wasn't any decisions really made at that meeting. There's a lot of preview for the next and discussion, so it was a little, I agree that when decisions are made, but in that instance, minutes would reflect a vote and a decision. So when there are
Maybe
none,
in which case then it's something like to be discussed at a further meeting and a meeting in the future, or to be discussed at the next meeting or something. But anyway, that's what I think should be reflected.
okay. All right, well, we can see what happens with when we do our next set of minutes, and if that continues, we can address it. I believe, just given that we've been in a thick of kind of circular discussions on the same issues and knowing that we were coming back to those same issues in this jam-packed month of January and February. That's perhaps why it was not specifically called out when we were going to address it. So, okay, moving on, well, I guess we need to, anyone else have any amendments or changes for November 19th? Okay, so hearing that, I'd like to I move to accept the minutes of November 19th with the small adjustment of the word, changing the word of to off, and accept the minutes as amended. Any second to that?
Second.
Okay, Rob Wolf is seconded. All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended, November 19th. Addie Mae Weiss is aye. Rob Wolf,
Aye.
Steph Harrison. I think it was aye. I'm lip reading. Jim Garino
Aye.
and Frank Hoke.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Those minutes are accepted. And so then moving on to December 17th, which was our MBTA zoning hearing. Frank, did you find any lines for
Two very minor ones, other than to what level of detail do you want to have the minutes for something like that hearing, which is so detailed? It's really challenging. But on the third page, which is the last page, the very top paragraph,
Yes.
the second sentence starts, must reside whither. I think it should probably be whether.
Yeah.
Is it within?
I think you're right, Steph, that the word should have been within,
Okay.
but you're correct.
Yeah,
Frank.
within, right?
In
Yeah.
either is obviously what it should
In
be.
either, you're right. It's either, yes.
EITHER.
Okay, either. Yes, it's the W instead, an E for the W, yeah, which actually those letters are right next to each other on the keyboard, so that makes sense. Okay, so
The last sentence, it says special permit ADU. Right above that, if you read permit ADU, the state has protected use ADU, and then so ADU we. So it just needs a period and then space we,
oh,
or a lowercase w, or in the space, whatever.
okay, so the state has protected use, period, space, we have an apartment definition that matches the special permit ADU, okay. All right, any other amendments or changes to the December 17th minutes? Okay, hearing none, I move to accept the minutes from December 17th as amended, adding a second.
Second.
Thanks, Bob. Moved and seconded. Addie Mae Weiss is an aye. Steph Harrison.
Aye.
Jim Garino,
Aye.
Rob Wolf,
Aye.
and Frank.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the minutes are now taken care of. And I guess the next discussion is regarding our hearing next Tuesday. And the various, they decided not to call them housekeeping. We had a new term for
They're
all of the
updates. Yeah,
updates.
so Heidi noted that the hearings for what we're calling warrant articles 1 and 2, which is chapter 3A, multifamily overlay, plus the integration items for multifamily overlay, i.e. outside of the multifamily overlay section, but to integrate it into the overall bylaws. That hearing already occurred. So this upcoming hearing is on the remaining 3 bylaws. So that is signage, floodplains, and overall bylaw updates, which includes a number of things. So that hearing, and I will share my screen again. Did I share my screen? No, let me share it. Heidi sent with the materials, the notice of public hearing, which I'm now sharing, and all of the different sections that it touches. We are still awaiting some town council input. We received some town council input on ADUs, on some of the definitions, and we're still awaiting town council input on anti-segmentation.
Okay.
But other than that, the language is as we approved.
So I mean, I guess as far as tonight's discussion, I mean, we went through this in so much detail before. I guess it's does anyone have any questions about the work that we did and where we're at, and have any further questions before we have a hearing on this next Tuesday?
And the hearing is fully virtual, Addie Mae, looks
Correct.
like.
Yes.
Okay.
Are we starting at 7 and then the hearing starts at 7:15?
Correct.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember, is the anti-segmentation? Okay, that is listed down there in section H. Okay, I see it.
It's within affordable housing.
It's listed in the question that we had kind of 2 variations of wording that we had presented to council and hadn't had feedback on. And the reason we need some feedback is because we'll need to know exactly what gets printed in the warrant.
So I think Heidi was going to follow up with them.
Right. And so before Tuesday, we will share council's, I guess, approved language, just so that we're all on the same page of what council has agreed to before we enter into our hearing. I mean, I feel like we talked about this enough and we're pretty prepared. And I am fine with moving on unless anyone else has any objections.
I just had a question. Briefly, how are we going to handle them? Is it going to be literally, I know that there's a lot of green and yellow, which is, I think, inclusions and changes. And will there be a kind of a comment period for each one? Or I'm just kind of curious what the plan is, just to.
I guess, yeah, so that's a good question. That's a good point. I mean, in my mind, what makes sense is to explain that this is a hearing for, because it doesn't really say it in the notice, but explain that this is the hearing for, it's the integration hearing, it's the details that are in our current existing zoning, and in some cases, getting them to correct things and line up with the new zoning bylaw for MBTA communities and the new mandate for ADUs by right, as well as going through and kind of cleaning up language that's caused confusion, and making sure we have mostly it's the tables that hadn't been updated in years, and the table of uses and the schedule of use regulations. So I guess, yeah, probably as far as how do we tackle that? I mean, I would think we'd go line by line, but I think to present it so anyone attending can understand, we'd want to show, or at least for me, it would be helpful if I was seeing this for the first time to actually see where it is, a slide, I guess, with our existing, or the PDF of our existing schedule of uses and table, and what we have currently in our zoning book of our overlays to show why we're correcting things and adding things. But I welcome anyone else's feedback or thoughts on that.
So there'd be a high level summary and then looking at the specific changes. The actual language and crossing the old language out.
I'm just wondering, I don't know if it's feasible to do, but it could be useful. You can write line numbers on what's projected. So if people want to say, hey, can you help me understand this? It's on line 17 or whatever it is. It's just much easier to cross-reference. I don't know if that's something that's doable to help the conduct of the meeting and the discussion of specific points, because sometimes there are pages and there are like 17 different changes that are on it. I don't know how likely it is that the hearing is going to get really specific blow by blow, but I think it could.
Um,
I'm just looking at that.
yeah, I'm trying to
Um,
visualize.
I think I can do that.
It's a Microsoft Word function to add line numbers, and I don't think it disturbs the
Yeah,
formatting at all. And
I agree. Oh, here we go.
Anyway.
So if we were to, let me just drag this over here,
Thanks.
do something like restart each page, right?
mhm.
Or would you want to do continuous through the whole document?
I do restart each page just to
Yeah.
help people.
Yep. So it's just there and available to guide us to line
So we were
18. if we
talking
wanna talk
about,
that.
like, we'd say on line 18 of the housekeeping unit, as far as using it as a guide point so that people can follow where we're looking.
So very easy to turn on and turn off.
Is it
So I will plan to
possible
do
put it-
that.
Is it possible to put it on the right margin instead of the left?
Yes. Hmm. Sure
The
it
reason I
is.
say that is because the text goes further to the right, and it's easier to follow the line to a number, the closer the numbers are to the line.
I don't know. I don't know that it is. I think it's kind of, I thought it would be easy, but I don't see it. And I think, Frank, it's just like a legal convention to have it on the left. So I don't see it. I don't think that makes a big difference in our ability to use it though, personally.
I mean, if
'Cause
it makes things more complicated, we shouldn't bother. But given that there are multiple things, being very, very clear on exactly what
Yeah.
is being discussed could be
I
an
think
aid
that's
in the
yeah,
hearing.
I think it's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I think for the hearing purposes, it's a good suggestion, and then just to be mindful that when we say line X, it's not gonna match up with the same line numbering on the actual code because everything's formatted differently, so just as long as that someone doesn't cite, and I mean, it'd probably be fine, but I think for a visual, it is helpful, I agree, I think I like the idea, and if it's relatively easy for Steph to add that through our virtual hearing, I think that'll be a nice um addition to kind of helping keeping everybody on track.
So presumably also at the beginning, we'll kind of introduce the meaning of the different colors and the strikeouts and so on. So there'll be instructions as to what how to read the slides, and commenting on the line numbers just being temporarily added to facilitate the hearing discussion can be emphasized at that point.
Right.
We'll look at each one of these and say, this is being modified because of the new state ADU laws.
Yeah.
Go through and describe each one.
Yes. Any other discussion on this or?
Should we move on, Addie May? I have
I'm
some.
good with moving on, so, okay,
Okay.
so moving on to MBTA multifamily overlay district update. There was the update that was shared. The latest update is that the Attorney General's office has filed the emergency requirements to satisfy the kind of I guess well, what was missing or what was not complying or with the Supreme Judicial Court's opinion on the MBTA zoning. And so there is no delay in, for our part, in how we are expected to continue to proceed towards adoption of MBTA zoning. And I'm just looking for, I don't know if you have that accessible, Heidi, otherwise I can just read.
I don't have that handy. I think you covered it well enough and we all received it and anyone can look it up if they aren't familiar with it.
Right, so basically no changes to our timeline there, kind of as
Right.
we expected to happen. As far as ADU accessory dwelling unit updates, I am not aware of any updates. I believe we're still in the same kind of wait and see, but we will proceed with adopting the by right versus by permit ADU distinction, hopefully at our town meeting, as we've got laid out in our warrant for discussion at next week's hearing. And I guess it's just a warrant preparation and timeline. And we've all done a lot to get us to this stage. And really, I'm grateful to everyone for all the input because I think it's a lot of stuff that's really been a long time coming, and it's nice to have some of these details addressed. And it's just the beginning. I know Heidi is at capital budget this evening asking for some funds for doing a further zoning review, because as we've discovered in our process, just looking at where zoning is out of sync in some areas, we're finding there's a lot of other areas. And as a general rule, we're trying to be more clear and less ambiguous, um, less subjective. Same rules apply to everyone. And so it'd be a good thing if we were able to get some assistance with some further zoning review, because we've only touched the tip of the iceberg, and a lot of work. It's taken a lot of work on all of our review process to get there. So I really don't have a lot for, like I said, for this evening. I expected it to be quick, and just mostly wanted to touch base. And I think it was valuable to touch base to have a sense of the little bit of discussion that we had about what to expect and how we should present next Tuesday is extremely valuable. So thank you. Does anyone have any other reports or on meetings with other boards and entities?
Just a comment going back to the timeline. There's a couple of really important milestones, which are, the meeting with the select board, the meeting with advisory, and so on. They're probably published on the town's website. I'm sure they are, but if we could have that so that we can make sure that we can try to schedule to be there.
Yes, as far as I know, we've not received our dates yet for our normally we would know, but because usually it's sometime in January, but I have not received our date for our advisory hearing unless I missed it. I'm just looking through email to see, and I don't know if anyone else has heard anything, but
And also with the select board, and then there's the bloody Saturday,
I mean,
for
Bloody
lack of a better word. I don't know if we should use that term in
Yeah,
an
no,
official meeting, but
tradition, it seems to me Bloody Saturday is usually around Valentine's Day in February.
I
Is it
feel
March?
like it's
Maybe it's
March.
actually it's
I
March.
thought it was March, yeah.
On St.
I think
Patrick's
it's
Day.
March 22nd,
Okay,
but I'm just double checking.
yeah, it
Um,
is in March.
yeah, March 22nd.
Okay, so a little bit later than some years. It seems like it falls right around St. Patrick's Day, which is, right, yeah, we've not been given a date, just general.
I'm just going to share the schedule again. There are some timelines here. It says advisory public hearing, and there's March is highlighted. Presentation to advisory would be in February or March, so we still have weeks yet on that. I'm sure that the date will be shared once we have it.
Right. Yes, as soon as we have exact dates, we will definitely be sharing with each other. At the moment, I have no specific dates. I know that we did agree at our last meeting to, I believe February 11th for opening the ADESA hearing. We've learned that there's a conflict in their schedules for that date, but to ensure that we are within the 60 days from when they submitted our application, we will be opening and then
Continuing.
continuing. Thank you. I was looking for the word, blanking. Continuing the hearing until sometime in March when they are available. So.
Okay.
I have nothing further. Does anyone else have anything for this evening?
Just wondering, next week's meeting, is that in person or
It's fully remote.
fully
Especially
remote?
given the amount of language details, it's easier for all of us to follow, share screen. So we are making it fully remote.
Does anybody know if there's been a date assigned for the caucus?
March 6th, I think. I
The
just put
third-
that
the
on my
th-
calendar.
The first Thursday in March?
Yeah, March 6th.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone up?
I
Me and Eddie
believe,
May.
yes, Rob and myself are up. I don't know if there's any other interest from anyone else to run for planning board. I kind of realized I'm coming up on 9 years in June. So, you know, if no one else was stepping up, I'd continue to ensure that we have a full board, but at the same time, also open to having new blood join the board if there's, you know, the right candidate. So if anyone talks to anyone, let me know. Not that it's the town's decision, not mine, but just, you know, usually it's nice to have someone that's engaged with planning board and has been following with what we're doing. So on that note, hearing there's no further business, it's 7:35. I have motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor? Addie Mae Weiss is aye. Steph Harrison,
Okay.
Bob Wolf,
All right.
Jim Garino,
Aye.
and Frank Hoka.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Steph, for leading us through the tech stuff. And everyone have a good night.
Night.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.